Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Linda Andorf.
Here.
Travis Landry.
Here.
Max Christensen. Eddie Diaz. Joe Toon.
Here.
Travis, would you read our mission statement?
Love to. Our mission is to develop knowledgeable, skilled, and productive citizens of character.
I'd like to recognize and thank all of our visitors who are here tonight and open the floor for public forum. Do we have anyone who has something they wish to address the board?
I had no requests.
And
Those opposed?
Okay, public hearing on fiscal year 26 budget.
So the information that was provided in your packet was a 2% SSA with a cash reserve 1.3 million for a total tax increase of 86 cents.
We do recognize that this is an increase in the property tax. This is the first time since 2017, 2018 that we have in fact had an increase. We have always had a decrease up until this point. At this time, I would ask if there are any public comments on the proposed budget. No comments? Okay. Adopt the 2025 to 26 proposed budget.
Can I make a motion on that? I'm on the committee or not?
Yes.
oh yeah,
Okay, I'll make a motion to
I'll
adopt.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just to confirm, we're still, even with this tax increase, we're still having to find areas to save and
yes,
it's not like we're trying to,
no,
we're still actively looking for areas to cut.
correct.
As-
Through attrition
Yeah.
was what we've been doing, so yes, we're staying within our budget and still looking at any potential attrition move. We are looking at that and still trying to provide adequate services.
I think we're gonna have to do a pretty good, and by we, I mean me, when I talk to people, education campaign, letting people know a little bit about school budgets, different silos, and sometimes people see things going up and then they start questioning why is that happening when they're cutting.
The one thing that I sent the board and I sent the staff, because I think maybe you had a question or somebody had a question, hey, does everybody know about this? I said, well, we've had numerous meetings about it that everybody could be part of. At the board meeting, we also talked about it. So then I sent everybody kind of a little synopsis of what I sent you guys. In addition to, I think one of the best one-sheet pieces of the financial school finance, where it talks about revenue, talks about expenditures, which bucket it comes out of, because the question that always comes up to me, and I think to you guys a lot of times, is with our Perry Elementary renovation, how is it we can have a renovation and now we don't have a media person or we don't have this person? And that is, it's a completely different bucket that has a completely different purpose. And those things that we're utilizing for a Perry Elementary renovation is not the same bucket that we use to pay for salaries. So that in a nutshell is the case. But I think we can continue to let the word out or to try to educate, and if there's questions, for sure, I know the board knows it. I put that out for our staff so that they could answer that question, hopefully, and if not, I can.
And the next thing on the agenda under reports is that budget summary.
Yep.
So that's where you will
bet.
go through different parts that have been.
With this budget proposal of an increase of 86 cents, most of that is generated from the budget guarantee and the cash reserve levy. With the 2% SSA, The amount of new money that the district will receive next year is $150,000. So just because you are raising taxes, don't think that that's going to generate all these extra dollars for you, whatever. So in the formula, we're only looking at new money of about $150,000.
And I'll mention this, not so much for the board, because I mentioned it last month, but more for the public. I don't expect this percentage to go up anytime soon for the next few years. So this is probably about as much as I expect to get. So budgets are going to be tight for some time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Budgets are going to be tight everywhere. Okay, so,
Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Moving on to reports, public school budget summary.
All right, beginning that conversation that we just had there, specifically, what kind of attrition moves have we made to help reduce the budget? In summary, reducing the deficit, the biggest thing that you can do in a reduction of any budget deals with personnel. That's where close to 80% of our budget goes. So what we've done now this year, and then looking at fiscal year 25, next year, or excuse me, 26, next school year, 25, 26, we will have reduced 12.5 teachers, 6.0 paras, 1 custodian, 1 media specialist, 2 TLC positions, and a .75 administrative position. Okay? All of that is part of what I shared with you as far as our staff savings. We will be saving close to $600,000 with our early retirement savings. And activities department had $13,000, and then later on we're going to be hearing from PACES, which they will be working very hard to be self-sufficient, saving $100,000. So a question that has been asked of me is, okay, where are we doing this? Well, I just read some of those right there, and that means a great deal. So we're going to be real close to $2 million in reducing the deficit. So that will help immensely. One caveat that I would add is we always have to look at enrollment. Hopefully things work out well for us next October. Enrollment is the key to all of that, but we'll adjust accordingly. But for next year, if we continue on this path, I see us being in much better shape.
And there were some coaches that the district is choosing not to replace.
Right.
Correct.
But I don't have that as an official one,
Yeah.
but that will be also added to.
Postings are down.
This list will be continuing, and again, we're not hunting for them, but we sure want to try to make every move possible without making what I call cuts, and that's different than reducing through attrition. All right.
Well, we did take 3 coaching positions off of the posting notices
Yes.
Yeah.
that were, had been on there and were pretty dated. And so the thinking on those positions would be if they were needed at such a time that the athletic department would have to come and ask for those positions be filled. But we did take them off the posting notice. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
I did. I thought it was great. Yep.
And we did that with 1 or 2 of the teaching positions too, because of the kind of the same
Yep.
situation.
Okay.
So in conclusion, there's been a great deal of teamwork by our whole staff, because anytime you reduce any of these positions, that means that everybody else needs to pick up just a little bit more. But they've done a good job with that, and we'll continue to work with our administrators, our department heads, and staff to do the best that we can with our budget.
Okay.
I know there's some thought going into the curriculum director position and probably different models being studied, but when I was doing my, I'm supposed to read the policies, the updated policies today. Several of those policies directly reference the director of teaching and learning, so.
Yeah.
It's, when I go to them, you guys will read it, but
Yep.
something to consider.
Yep. Okay, that's all I have for that. Any other?
Nope, superintendent's report.
All right, Laura Skill, Perry Elementary Principal, will share some videos demonstrating the PLC process. Thanks, Kevin, for helping with the computer piece. I did not realize till now that some of our newer computers, or Laura's anyway, did not have the HDMI connection. So we got everything going. Hey, the reason that we bring up PLC, we feel that this is a cornerstone for the district as far as teaching and learning. So I want to always bring this to the board and to the public on something that we've invested heavily in training our staff. Laura Skill, you got the floor.
I think it's coming. So what this is just a short little video that shows a little bit about what PLCs look like. I know we talk a lot about the PLCs and the 4 questions. It's hard to explain what those conversations look like. So I have some different video clips from earlier this school year from different teams at the elementary, just so that you can hear a little bit about what PLCs look like.
And then you have the update on the renovation.
Yep, so as far as our Perry Elementary renovation, I know that Laura Skill and Matt Hicks have been combing the details for all the different cabinets and trying to get a firm number of what that could be. So that's one of the things that's been I call it dangling participle, that we're still looking at, plus some of the sinks that we talked a little bit, I believe, at the last board meeting we had with SiteLogic. The other thing that's coming up fairly soon, playgrounds. The bids for demo and grading for playgrounds should be by the end of this month, and then the day after school, the goal is that the demolition will begin. And the installation, the goal for that would be that first week or second week in July for installation of front playground, back playground. Should be exciting. As we continue, SiteLogic will be available when there's some significant things that I want the board, and I think the board needs to hear. Because we just had a board meeting not too long ago, these were the only updates at this point, so no difference in costs or anything else, or a cost or expense update. But they'll be here to give you updates periodically. But the biggest thing, be playgrounds right now. Mrs. Skill, do you have anything else that you want to add to the Perry renovation? No? Good? Okay. All right. And then the last thing, parent-teacher conferences. The high school had 86% of the conferences were completed, which at a high school level, I think is very good. There have been times in my career where we were looking more at the 50-60%, which was very low. But 86%. And Mr. Mankey, what do you have for us for any update to let the board?
Justin tabulated it and had about 95% is what we had. And so teachers do a really good job of kind of nagging parents into those last few that we need. Maybe if you go 12 out of 14 on conference night, calling and bringing people in. So I'm proud of our teachers for going the extra mile for that.
Ned, could we say nagging and nudging, or just nagging?
Maybe some nudging.
Okay,
Maybe
all right. Just another N word. All right.
Yeah.
Elementary was at 98% of parent attendance for parent-teacher conferences. And I would say with all of our support teachers, our classroom teachers had a total of 750 out of 800 conferences. And then our support teachers, Kendall and Eel, attended an extra 135. So a lot of parent-teacher conferences at Perry Elementary.
It's pretty good. There was a neat little story too that you had. Wasn't it on one teacher? Was it was ill or came back, or was there something with that, or am I? No?
I don't remember.
All right. Okay. Very good. 98%. Leave it at that. Okay. All right. That's our update.
Teachers for getting that done. It makes for a very long night, especially on those nights when you have to get up the next morning and be back bright and early. So thank you very much. Are you going to do safety?
What's that?
Safety?
Just a little bit on safety, and that is Linda can also address this to a certain degree. We're somewhat limited on what we can say, but here's what I think, share with the board in a board meeting, and then individually I can visit too. But we talked to a safety expert. We had probably a 30 to 45 minute conversation that we're doing. That's the key is preventative. The key is looking at those students that may be showing some early warning signs, those students that maybe need to go to our CSTAG. This individual has been to literally thousands of different situations, but he said you can never build enough walls, have enough fences for something to not happen. That's what I'll share right now. But it was, I think it was helpful for me. I think it was helpful that we're on the right track. Linda, what else?
Prevention and the early warning systems and early warning signs, and trying to recognize issues before they become large. So a lot of it becomes people protection as opposed to other kinds of protection, and looking at the child or the adult, and recognizing where they are and trying to determine how we can help them along the way. Okay?
So the board knows we've done a number of things physically, and I've sent you some things. We've talked about it here, from door locks to film on the windows. But the thing that I want to assure the public and the board is we are meeting every month with CSTAG, and I can tell you that our administration is vigilant on anything that appears to be a red flag, that we're looking at it for support, possible consequences. And then at that CSTAG meeting, I want to emphasize that we meet not only with the principals, but then counselors for support, what needs to be done, what avenues, and law enforcement. So we're all, I think, partnering together to do the very best that we can, realizing there's no guarantees, but we're doing the best to make sure that kids are safe. But our number one objective is education, teaching and learning, and just what you saw Mrs. Skeel share on the PLCs.
Question, Clark?
Yep.
So I know it's been a tough balance to work on the safety, security, and then keeping people informed, because there's some limits. Curious to know why we're not engaging with like the register when we write that article, to balance that story out a bit. Well,
One of the things that you have to always weigh, first of all, there's been communication with our attorneys, okay? So I want you to know that. Number two, you always have to weigh the risk-reward. Is the reward high enough, and will it help the situation, or is the risk of stirring a pot and never really satisfying the situation? So that's what I'll say to that.
And then the other piece is you probably have quite a bit of media. It could be a full-time job if you responded to every media inquiry. So that's a lot of time commitment. But
Yeah.
I would say if an opportunity comes to express some of the things that you did earlier, or I know there's a one-pager that went out
Yep.
months ago that I like to keep handy.
Yep.
Because that list was pretty extensive. The amount of money, time, resources that has been invested into this is a lot.
And we'll continue to put that out, and that's been approved, and I think it's good to have out as a gentle reminder of what we're doing. But the biggest thing is to solve things from the inside out as opposed to the outside and trying to build a fortress so that nobody comes in, and still make it what our number one purpose is, and that is teaching and learning. And having that whole atmosphere for those, that is our purpose. But yet balancing with what you said. But I can assure you that we are going to all of the different people here in even Dallas County, our local police, Homeland Security, as well as balancing it with our attorneys. And I can also say that just because the media puts something out, and as much as I would like to respond directly to that, we all need to be careful, and I'm trying to do my best to also do what I think is right for our board, our school, and for sure for our students and staff. So.
Okay. Commendations. Perry High School mock trial team participated in the Iowa State Bar Association mock trial Central Regional Contest on March 4th in Des Moines. 40 teams competed in the Des Moines Regional. The Perry High School mock trial team, Quinn Mahler Moreno was an attorney, Mila Mice, attorney witness, Catherine Miranda, attorney witness, Isaiah Christensen, attorney witness, Alea Carolus, attorney witness, Seth Borgson, witness, Oneida Hernandez, attorney, Jacob Morales, attorney, Darlene Gonzalez, alternate and a timer. Advisors, Brenda Minton and Tom Lipvack. Attorney coach was Anne-Marie McDevitt. The team represented the plaintiff in the first round, competing against a state qualifying team from Waukee Northwest High School, which resulted in a total performance of 228 to 266.5. The team represented the defendant in a second round competition with Ankeny High School, which resulted in a total performance score of 208 to 236.5. Seth Borgson was cited by regional judges as an outstanding witness honoree. Mock trial is designed to introduce students to our legal system by providing a challenging academic competition. The program offers students an opportunity for personal growth and achievement, emphasizing the importance of research, presentation, and teamwork. In addition to teaching students about contemporary public issues in the legal system, the program encourages teachers and students to develop learning partnerships with professionals from the community. Yearly, more than 1,600 students from across Iowa participate.
Good. I have a couple also. Congressional Medal of Honor Society Citizens Honors Award to Principal Dan Marburger, who demonstrated extraordinary heroism during the tragic shooting at the Perry High School on January 4th, 2024, when a student opened fire inside the school. Marburger selflessly confronted the shooter in the hallway, putting himself in harm's way to protect others. His courageous actions exemplified the highest level of dedication to protecting his students and staff, making the ultimate sacrifice in service of others. And again, that was the Congressional Medal of Honor Society Citizens Honors Award. Continuing with commendations, April 7th through 11th is Assistant Principals Week at Perry Elementary. Has two of the best. Mrs. Rinker and Mr. Egan are always up for a challenge. They play along with silly ideas. They keep calm during support calls. And they do have a few of those that they've been, it's just as great to see how hard they do work on those. I've seen that in action. They form relationships, which is a key, with students and staff. Perry Elementary is so fortunate to have Morgan and Chris as they work that they do for all of us. Their knowledge and dedication to special education and preschool, as well as their willingness to help where they can, make them both a tremendous asset to our administrative team. Also, bravo to the cast and crew of the Spring Musical, the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. It was a funny show with great energy. Next, congratulations to our high school girls track team for tying for first place in our own JET relays on April 3rd. The team was victorious in the 100, the 200, 400, 800, 400 hurdles, and the 4x4 relay. Congratulations also to our All-State Speech Festival participants. Genesis Gonzalez, who performed in the acting category. Andreas Zarate, who performed in the radio news category. Congratulations to Garen Kenny, Owen Myers, for being selected to the IBCA Academic All-State Team. Congratulations to Mercedes Ponce, Julie Malum, and Aiden Erickson for being selected in the IWCA Academic All-State Team. So we have basketball and wrestling there. Congratulations to Esteban Medina, who qualified for state competition for the National History Day. And that is what we have for commendations.
Moving on to general business, approve DMAC online and in-person course list for Perry High School, 25-26.
Okay, Mrs. Valine,
Yes,
you have the floor.
yes. So every year we are to have the board approve our list of online courses for the following school year. So you all should have a copy of what those courses are. So what we did is we worked with one of the advisors, a couple of the advisors actually at DMAC, to kind of go through, and we had a pretty comprehensive list of online classes. We kind of let students take whatever they wanted, and so we tried to kind of narrow that down to something that was a little more manageable and made more sense. So we tried to focus on those classes that are transferable to our region universities. Students that way are taking classes that will have a higher chance of helping them as they transfer into college after they graduate from high school. Some of the changes were also just name changes. Sometimes the course numbers change for whatever reason at DMAC, so we wanted to make sure that we have those accurate course numbers on our list here. And then there was also a couple classes that just had maybe some controversial things in them that just didn't make sense really for our students to take while they're in high school. So we removed a couple of those and then just tried to make it those classes that students are most likely to take and be successful. So that's the list that we have in front of you.
I had a question from someone in the community one day asking, does DMAC have to follow the same attendance policy that the high school does for absences?
I think they do, I know they do for eligibility purposes. So like if a student misses a class at DMAC during the day, but then comes here, like they're not to practice or participate that evening. Is that what you're kind of talking about?
No, the attendance policy that is mandated from the legislature
Oh.
on how many days you can miss, is that?
I don't know.
Is that policy?
I'm not sure.
DMAC for our
Yeah, I don't know.
secondary high school or not?
I'm not familiar.
So-
Mr. McCormick works with that, and I'm not sure if he counts those days, because he primarily focuses on students that are compulsory school age, and most of our students that are taking DMAC are older than that, so.
Okay, it was just someone had asked.
Yeah.
So the DMAC reports attendance, what the schools do with them is up to them. But the college does not have an attendance policy.
I'll make a motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Discussion.
Well, just a second. So we have a motion and we have a second. Any other discussion?
So I often get stuck in uncomfortable positions given all the stuff, my roles, but I do want to say that Perry Schools is a great partner for DMAC, and I'm not going to vote on this for conflict of interest. So great partner. The vast majority of students come from Perry Schools. I think Perry's fortunate to have the Banker Academy. I had somewhat concerned that the list is still too long. There's courses on there that, in my view, are not something students should take for a bunch of reasons. Tammy talked about the pathway, should be pretty narrow. You should have a certain path to be on, because students, young students in particular, start taking just a large number of courses that probably shouldn't take. So the success rate is much lower in some of those courses. Frankly, also from a financial perspective, these courses cost a bit of money. So I just wanted to be transparent, given my role, I'm not gonna vote on it. I think the students here get a large number of opportunities, and I think it's good for DMAC and the students. If we go ahead and vote on this, I would ask that there be a committee set up to study how it works, because I still think it could be more now.
And one of the things that I've talked to Tammy about, it was just that point, and that is that we are very strategic in our conversations with students, so that, I think your point was, so that they can be successful.
The challenge with that is that once we approve that, it doesn't matter the conversations they have, if a student wants it, they're gonna take it, because that's the law.
Right.
So this is the only main, well, not the only, one of the main barriers. And frankly, from a DMAC perspective, we'll take your money all day long, but
Right.
I'm just thinking, there's something that needs to get studied for future.
Yep.
So-
Has that been brought up to administration of DMAC? No, beyond you, that, maybe these should not be.
Oh, I think,
No.
how should I answer that? Yes, some people are aware, and DMAC has looked at some of these too.
Does it appear that they're willing or anxious to make any changes?
Concurrent enrollment is one of the biggest revenue generators for the college. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
I will say our numbers of students who are failing or have failed their online courses has gone down, and I think that has a lot to do with us doing, at least at the high school here, we do like monthly grade checks with students, and we've been a lot more transparent with the students and the parents about drop dates, so that if a student is struggling, that they get dropped prior to the district being charged. So I feel like we've tightened that up a lot more. So.
But to Eddie's point, that wouldn't be a bad thing to look at, next year, as we look at that list, what would be, are there any that maybe we could leave out before the board votes on it? I mean, it could be something to help students too, so, okay. Thank you.
Any other comments?
And no other comments. Motion by Travis, second by Max. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And one abstention. Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy.
Approve MOU teacher apprentice registered apprenticeship TPRA program through December 31st, 2025.
Similar to what we've done this before, it is a reoccurring one until December 31st, 2025.
One second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Approve Timberline Billing Service Agreement and addendum effective July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2028.
Okay, this is a statewide medical claim processing company that we've used before. Talked with Ken about that, and we are good with that 3-year contract for Timberline.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Accept fiscal year 24 final audit report.
All right, Ken, you got the floor.
I'm not gonna go through a lot of the audit report. You guys each received a final copy of that. And if you have any specific questions, if you wanna direct those to Mr. Wicks or myself, you sure can. But I would indicate to you, in summary, the audit findings that somewhat caught us a little bit by surprise, with an addition of one comment after the fact. we commented on that, and to further along and to get the audit report filed by March 31st, we left the comment. It's generic, and I'll go over that. But on page 107, it talks about our certified enrollment, and we had made adjustments to those on different counts. One student was counted twice, that sort of thing. And that's typically we'll have a few adjustments, minor adjustments. Page 108 talks about our certified annual report. Was certified to the Department of Ed on time. They noted significant deficiencies in the amounts reported to the DE on our final financial statements, and that led to the comment about segregation of duties, which what we got dinged on was the accrued interest on our CDs. And we did not count for those in a journal entry on June 30th. But the interest received was significant to the fact that they wanted it included in the audit report. So typically we do not do that at all. But because of the size of the CDs and receiving more than 5% interest on those, we did not accrue for, let's say it's a 3-year CD, we did not accrue for year 1, year 2, year 3. Normally we would just post the interest received at the end of the 3rd year. So it would be interest received in year 1, 2, and 3. So because of that, they made that comment. I can tell you right now, interest rates are not that high, so whether it will be significant or not, I don't know. But the comment was segregation of duties, that we didn't have a procedure in place, and someone else in the business office making and doing those journalizing entries. So, to me, it's not that great of a deal, but sometimes they have to just kind of find things. And they have never wrote us up for that prior to this. So, the ending fund balance in our general fund included different categorical funds, and part of that we will be talking about in a little bit here when we talk about the flex accounts and moving and transferring money into those accounts. So of our total $4 million of fund balance, we have $900,556 that is categorical. So specifically designed for only a certain purpose, which includes homeschool assistance, gifted and talented, TLC, 4-year preschool, non-public textbook aid, and professional development. So that is sizable for the amount of fund balance that we have for that portion to be a little bit over 900,000. And we'll talk about that when we get to another agenda item. So I would have the board accept the audit. It has already been filed with the state because that deadline was March 31st. And the auditors know that we're approving it, accepting it for tonight. So
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
motion and a second. All those in favor?
Discussion.
Oh, discussion?
Sorry. Last time we brought up the auditors, they only gave us a 1-year contract because whatever reasons.
Yes.
Since we've hired a new SBO, have we approached them about that?
No?
No? Is that something we're just gonna wait till the contract expires?
Well, it will expire June of '25, so you will have to go out to bid again for audit services prior to July of '25.
Have we started that process?
No,
Would it appear that they might consider
yes,
taking this again?
yes. But they would have to go through the bid process,
When does that bid process need to start?
just whenever you do it. Normally, you would want someone in place in July, only because if you would have a audit question about doing something or whatever, they would be reluctant to advise on that if they're not under contract.
Do you think it's something we can do before you retire? Put this out to bid?
Yeah, it's not, maybe it's, yeah.
Could you give them a call?
Well,
Or send them their letter and ask for, to
they will,
extend their contract?
I don't know if we can extend a one-year contract. You can extend a 3-year contract for 1 additional year.
Could we say if they would do a 3-year contract?
You would have to go out to bid for that. No. They're probably,
One person
they may be the
They're the only ones who have ever
person
come
that
back.
would bid.
They're the only ones who have ever come back
We
and
can-
said they would take the over our audit.
We can start the process and do like we did before, and we'll send it out. There's probably about 12 firms, but you're not going to get probably a firm from Minneapolis or someplace in Illinois to come in and do a school audit for this size, because there's just not enough money in it for them for the travel and that sort of thing. But you'll get, there are a couple new ones that are popping up because they know that there's a shortage. So we can certainly get that rolling. So with that, we have a motion and a second to accept the fiscal year '24 final audit. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Approve early graduation for Randy Sue Surratt.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Approve agreement between Cherry Community School District and Morningside University for student teaching for the 25-26 school year.
I make a motion to approve agreement between Perry and Morningside.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Approve summer paces program dates and fees.
Okay, Mrs. Hillman is here to talk a little bit about fees. We have talked about PACES and the importance of self-sufficiency, and Mary has worked diligently to make this work, because we either have to increase revenue and decrease expenditures, or balance those two things out. So Mary is going to talk briefly about the fees, and I think it's important for the board. So if you get asked, why are we doing this? I know that you can talk to them about it's a tremendous service, but it needs to be self-sufficient. Okay? So she's going to strike a balance with that, and she'll have a handout. Mary is good with handouts. I can guarantee you that. That explains a lot of things, but
You can never have too much information. Yes. So, oops. That's right.
I'll get that.
And then Joy needs to leave one for you, Max. Budget history. We have worked very hard. Clark, Kent, and I actually got since last October, and we have had numerous meetings in regards to where we're at with the budget. Also decreased enrollment of 109 students, luckily, I might state. And we have been working on self-sufficiency. And if you look at the one sheet with the highlights here, you'll see that over the years, as budget has increased, and that has been due to a number of factors such as the wages have doubled for my paraprofessionals since we started 25 years ago. We did not have insurance that we gave to our staff until Obamacare hit because they worked less than 37.5 hours. Insurance has increased from $8,000 a person to over 12, and now it's going to go up another 8.99%. So that's additional cost. And then when we were required to be VHS licensed in 2015, there's a lot of trainings above and beyond what the school requires, and those do cost money. So with that in, we've had increases, and the budget has been right around $450,000. On the one sheet, 1 year we did make $10,000. Looking at the average, the district has traditionally given us close to the $100,000 mark, about $95,000. If you take out those 2 difficult years of COVID and the shooting, we're right around $74,000 based on 150 students. So as I came to you guys in January, we did do an increase for the school year, and we've maintained our numbers. We're still at 143 students. Right now, we're at 145 for summer. We have a ton of applications and probably a waiting list.
What's your max?
Pardon?
What is your max number of students? Is it
Usually about 150.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, guys, is not only what our license is, but Department of Human Service requires you to literally draw a picture of your rooms, measure them, divide the square footage by 35 square feet, and that says how many kids you have in the classroom. And it's usually about 24 to 25. They also look at the ratio, and looking at staff, which is, the majority of your costs. The preschool program is 1 to 10 and everybody else is 1 to 15. So when you bump up to, let's say you got a classroom of 24, or you got 3, or you got 6 more even, it's not to really justify a second classroom is the issue, because you're still going to have the staff to make that 12-hour day, especially in the summer that we cover. Why I gave you a history of the program is from day one, we have charged fees. And a majority of the people that I started with back in 2000, the 21st Century grants didn't. The reason for that is federal and state government want you to build sustainability, but they really look down on charging fees. Doesn't make sense, does it? But that is typical of policies at that level. So you'll see we charge literally nothing, $5 a week, literally. And what that did, it allowed us to increase fees over the years, and you'll see those changes, and that has really kept us here afloat with our program. Other programs that didn't charge, when they tried to charge, people didn't want to come. Very typical. And we can't be free. We do need to have a fee for what we're building. It built credibility. It built our sustainability, and other programs are gone. We had those 2 tough years, but over the years through 24, we brought in $4.3 million. So that's been a huge savings to the district. So instead of looking what's the cost of the district, I look at the savings and what it's brought to the community. And PACES is a true school and community program. Not only are we providing services for our students and our teachers, getting those kids to school every day in attendance, but we're also providing the opportunity for parents to go to work, providing economic development for the community. So what we really looked at was where do we need to be at to make budget? So we had to do some catching up. We had not increased fees for summer prices or school year for 4 years. And the reason for that was groceries had gone up, gas had gone up, and parents were really struggling. Then we had the incident in January, and then we had the Tyson plant closing. But we still got to be able to pay for our services. So I'm suggesting the fees that are in front of you for the summer prices, and that is a $20 increase across the board. I've also done my research, which I've done years ago with other partners in the Des Moines Metro. We're still less than those areas. So I think we're really still helping our particular community. And if you really want to look at it as a breakdown, we're literally asking at $20 a week, we're only asking for $5 more a day, is how I see it. And also, we still are giving a discount at the 2 children level and the 3 children level. So for instance, if you're a parent on free lunch, it's going to be $95 a week. Looking at a 12-hour day, it's really $1.58 an hour. And for 2 children, it's $140. That's really only $70 a student. If you have 3 kids in a family, $170, that's only $56 a student. So I think some people might go, oh my goodness, $20, but when you do the breakdown, I think it's very reasonable. And that's going to bring in a good, significant amount of income.
What do you propose it to be, Mary? If it was this year with the same students and at the same free...
Correct.
What would you propose that to be if we had raised it $20 this year?
You mean in
Does that make
terms
sense?
of... Yes, in terms of the amount of money.
Yeah.
I have it in my figures over there. I do have that, Travis, I apologize. I have that in my notes over there, so. But thank you for bringing that up, which I was going to point out. I'm basing this on our present demographic.
Correct.
So presently, we have 59 families on free and reduced, on free, 6 unreduced, and 35 at full pay. And then I furthermore broke it down for Kent on how many of those 59 families are 1, 2, or 3. Because that makes a huge difference in the amount of income.
Okay.
So then what I did is I took these figures, broke it down to that amount, so I'll make sure that you get that.
Will this price increase get us to budget neutral or not?
No, so this is summer only, and then I'm also suggesting an increase for fall. So in the summertime, I'm reducing the loss, and that's just an honest answer to you. I mean, I can't break even with the summer with this amount, but we can make up the difference during the school year, and those are the figures that I gave Kent, and Kim and I worked diligently on that. What I've also done is manage staffing on how we're doing that, so reducing some staff, cutting hours by just a small amount, and also managing field trips where we're only going out of town every other week, but still doing a special event every Friday. The cost on field trips is not the busing, it's the staffing cost, because we take all the staff along because we need it for safety, and everybody's working a 10 or 11-hour day. So that's where our cost is on a field trip. And I think we can still offer quality of service with our library trip, with the rec center, with our special events Wednesdays, all here in the community, doing the minimum amount of staff to meet our DHS regulations, only having 2 adult and 2 assistant staff at each grade level, and then at our upper grades, 1st through 4th and 5th grade, only taking 3 people on a field trip, which I think is manageable. And then still needing 4 for preschool and kinder. So just some, looks like minor tweaks, about a half an hour times 12 people, it adds up money-wise.
So this $20 increase plus the other increase, will that get us to budget neutral or?
Yes,
the year?
that's what I'm predicting, yes.
That's based on full enrollment.
Correct, but also demographics of what we presently have.
Do we have any families that, because of the increase, even though, you know, we're looking at only $20, is that going to create a financial impact for
It
them?
very well could be.
Are there
So-
resources for them to help them to cover those?
I write into the BOC grant. I also write into United Way grant for scholarships. And I'm talking not full price, but like $25 a week, which can bring them back to the old fees. And then setting it just for that 8 weeks of the summer. So I've done that in the past, and we know our people well enough. I know if somebody truly is really hurting in regards to that. We haven't lost anybody this school year after we increased fees. I'm concerned about summer, but we just got to make a change.
Will there still be some of those resources when we get to the school year. I know that goes into our next item, but we're talking resources, will those resources still be available for those
You'd have to
families when
write-
we get to the regular school year?
Right, you'd have to write another bond grant, so, which is due September 1st. And United Way, right now, they call it a grant, we're on contract for them, and right now, I've written a grant, which I received for $27,500, and that will help with office help, whoever you guys hire as a director to pay for that position as a part-time job, along with the rover. So, and then some money towards the help with scholarship. Then also what I wrote into the bond grant is money to help with our trainings as well, for $550. Because that has really increased with both CPR first aid.
Anything else on the summer program?
Nothing else on the summer.
Okay, so approving the PACES program.
Well, and the only thing, Linda, we are 8 weeks, but traditionally we've been 8 or 9, depending on snow days, and this year it's 8 weeks.
I make a motion to approve summer PACES program dates and fees.
I think, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Approve PACES before and after school program fees for the 25-26 school year.
And I thought while we're doing this, it'd be a really good time to go ahead and increase prices for the school year. I think that will get us where we need to be. So just $5 for the free price, $5 more, $10 that reduced, and $15 for full pay. And I still think it's extremely reasonable, so we're looking at $75, $95, $115. Second kids in the family, $110, $130, $150. And then at 3 children, which I do have some people, $140, $160, and $180. And again, if you look at the upper levels, you're looking at $55 a kid, or $65 or $75. And if you know anything about childcare, it's incredibly expensive in the Des Moines area. People are telling me they're spending $3,000 a month. And our parents' tax bill is not even close to that for the whole
Not
year.
even close.
So, and I think you get a lot of bang for your buck at PACES.
Oh, absolutely.
So
You have
that's
a
my
fantastic program.
Yeah, yeah. And I believe that between this and again with managing staffing, which I've already put a whole budget plan together through 27, even though I'm not going to be here, I really feel that then we can make up money to help with that small deficit of the summer and keep everything rolling and doing a good job.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you, Mary, for everything that you've done.
Thanks, Mary.
You're welcome. I
Put
do
together
want to
one
say,
of
guys, I think that enrollment, I know for a fact, would have been bigger than 109, but because they really respect this school district as a whole, the PACES service, feel very welcome in the community itself. A lot of people did not leave this town, and I got families commuting 2 hours one way. And one of the reasons we still need to be open 6 to 6 is for that reason, guys. All the commuting that's going on, and they want to stay, period. And I think that just says a lot for our town.
It does. All right. Approve PACES program director job description.
The main thing here, you'll see the red highlights. This is my original job description of 25 years ago, and the main things that needed to be edited was to take out the 21st century. So,
Does it have anything here for, you're a prolific grant writer? Is there anything in here to?
it was never required, I just started doing it, guys.
Well, and
And
you
that's,
can approve it this way, I do think,
Don't you think it's very important though?
I do think it's really important.
I mean, that is what
Yeah.
keeps you floating.
If you guys want to add that in there, that was a discussion I wanted to have with you, but it was never required. But when I figured I had to come up with this sustainability plan, and I made an actual notebook and I did a bunch of research, I just didn't see, any other way at that time. Now, I'm working on the budget with Kent and Clark. We did not include grants. So that would really add some frosting on the cookies or whatever to, I would see, or be a fluff. The one thing I can't predict is raises. I can't predict demographics and numbers. I can't predict insurance costs and subbing. If you have a staff out sick, then you're paying double.
But, that goes with the rest of the district.
But it does,
So
but you've got
those
to
things
allow
are-
for that fluff, because those are the things that you know are gonna cost you extra in your budget. So if that's an item that needs to be added, Ken, I know Joyce put this together for me.
We do have a number 14, it says, perform such other duties as assigned, but if we could, if you guys want to have that written in, it definitely is a key part.
I think it's super important.
Yeah,
Because it,
And we've developed some great relationships with local foundations. They've been unbelievable support. A person I know that's going to apply, I think would do a great job of it. So if you had to hire a grant writer, that's $100 an hour, easy.
Linda, I have write grants to supplement the PACES budget. Could we have more? Do you want anything else written with that?
The grant writing is very important. You are a fantastic grant writer, and we have another one in the back of the room who writes some good grants also, but, having that person tied to the program
And then
to be able to provide the specific.
Then our intention is there will, by DHS regulations, you can have a combined director, site coordinator position. So that present position is $43,000, that position would go away. So that's another savings.
I'll make a motion to approve the PACES program director description with language to include something on grant writing.
Yeah.
I'll second.
We got a second one.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you, Mary.
Mary, thank you.
And I just want to thank the board for all the support. So, very much so, we wouldn't have to do it.
Well, thank you
Thank
for
you,
all
Mary.
the work that you've done with the PACES program and its success.
It's been a joy.
Yes. Okay, thank you. First reading of policy 503.9 and 503.9R1, student use of personal electronic devices and regulation.
Okay, I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. Remember, this is the first reading, and there will be more guidance on this as we continue. But a couple of things. We think that this is a very good move by the legislators, all right, first of all. A couple things in the second paragraph. It says, for this reason, student use of personal electronic devices during instructional time is prohibited. In the next paragraph, it states, instructional time is defined to mean periods of classroom instruction from beginning of class bell until the end of class bell. Includes lunch, recess, passing periods. Now, remember, this is a first reading. Whatever we do, when we come back, this will have to be manageable. I see some problems or potential challenges, I'll say, with that. I'd like to probably see a little bit more of a balance, but at this point, I'm just letting you know what has been passed at this point and see what kind of leeway any schools have, and I'll speak to a couple of them. In the next paragraph, it does have electronic device during instructional time if a parent or guardian can establish there is a legitimate reason. related to the student's mental and physical health for students to retain access during instructional time. That's a loaded sentence there.
Who determines the legitimacy of the reason?
There, yeah, hey, board is gonna do, no, hey, there's some work to do with that. So just keep in mind, first reading needs to be manageable. So those were my highlights. We will get more direction from our SAI, attorneys, that kind of thing, because this is going to be a big deal across the state. But I will say schools that have gone totally no phones from the students as well as from the staff say that it has made more of a positive impact, because I think kids receive a great deal of negative feedback from other kids, and it just seems to be almost an addiction. Now, with that, first reading, we'll come back with more information from the state, from the attorneys, and my key thing that I always tell our cabinet administrative team, all changes can be very productive if it's manageable. I see some areas that I'd like to hear from them as far, because they're going to have to be the ones to manage this, and we'll have to hear about it. So I want it to be reasonable also.
The note part of the policy also says that districts can determine what definition of instructional time is.
Yep.
Would be appropriate. So is that something that we could go back and look at?
Absolutely.
And say, the policy that we have now is that electronic devices are not to be used during classroom time. Because if we get into what's instructional and I've finished my instruction, then my instructional time could be viewed as ended even though the class period has not ended.
That is correct.
We could get into some
We can.
verbiage there.
Well, like anything, Linda and board, if you make something, I don't care what kind of change you make within a system, if you make it so tight, you have managerial issues. And that one sentence that talks about a legitimate reason, I could foresee many people going, my kid has this, my kid has that. But I think if we take a good look at it, see what's reasonable, see what's manageable, and also just remember, this is what's given to us. Nobody here in Perry wrote this up, all right? But yet we do need to follow what the legislators have asked us to do, instructional time.
Knowing that we currently have a phone policy or electronic policy in place, when we first instituted that policy, we started very much upfront with parents and students to let them know this is coming, this is coming. We kept reminding this is coming, this is coming. And when school started, we really didn't have many issues with the phone policy because we all started out the same way.
Yep.
We all started and we all enforced the policy the same way. So we need to make very sure that if this is, we have to do this, that everyone does have a buy-in, that this is what's going to happen, and the electronic devices cannot be in the classroom. Okay?
Yep.
We all have, the staff has to have as much of a buy-in as the students, and the students aren't going to buy into it, we know that, but the parents.
But there was, when we first did this, I think it was last year, but at first, it was a little bit of a, but then they adapted very well. I will say humans do adapt very well, as long as they understand the situation, so, anyway.
It has to be on board with it,
And it has to be sustained, because people,
Correct.
when you implement something, are usually have high
Pretty good at
fidelity
first.
to whatever, usually.
Yep.
But with time,
Yep.
complacency.
Correct.
So that's my first thought. The second thought was, and it's been mentioned, I would just emphasize, staff has to model it. One quick tip that I try to follow and people can call me out if I fail. I try not to post on my social media during the workday. I just think it's a bad look for me.
Yep.
And I would recommend that next year we highlight that, because people are going to be looking for gaps in this
Oh, boy.
legislation. And I can already see people say, oh, but so-and-so's posting at
Yeah.
whatever. And I know there's probably legitimate reasons. That would be my advice.
Yep.
But even going a little bit farther than that is that the phones are actually put away, they're not even out on your desk. So, you know, when I've gone in, my phone doesn't come out of my purse. It's at the bottom, and it's on mute.
Then the third
So
one,
we all have to do it.
I was going to do this during my comments, but it's appropriate now. I brought this up the last 2 board meetings. We're about 3/4 of the way through the book study. We will probably be releasing registration information for a community-wide read in May.
Okay.
Hopefully, this 6-week community read will be in June, July kind of timeframe. The concept is to try and get parents to take the lead.
What's the
It's
rationale
really
behind it?
Schools are having to
Yeah.
do this. I will tell you, I was at a training today, and I found out of 2 school districts that are using this as kind of a
Springboard or,
tool to try and bring parents on board, so hopefully the school district can support the community-wide read.
do you guys think it's worthwhile? That book?
I'm loving it. Some of my team does not like it, but
Okay.
I really enjoy the book.
There's
Linda?
a lot of things in there that are just the common sense from an educator's perspective on what it does in the classroom, that it's like, I can't figure out why you haven't caught on to this, but, you know, it's kind of, yeah, it gives you a little bit of an aha moment every once in a while.
Okay, very good. So that's the first reading, we'll be talking more about that.
Set the May 12th, 2025 as public hearing date for flexible account transfer.
Okay, in the description, you can see legislators have given us some flexibility for House File 565. And that is the flexibility to take some of the money in the flexibility account within the general fund, and the school district needs to have a public hearing date for those funds to be transferred. You can see them, professional development supplement. Again, these are dollars that remain from last year. All right? So it's not talking about this year's fund. All right? This is what was remaining. $129,123. Homeschool assistance program, $27,129. Teacher leadership, $295,902. For a total transfer of $452,155. Kent, other thoughts on this?
No. We've talked about it for several years, and these balances have been accumulating over a number of years. And I think a discussion was also had with Mr. Vinegar about some of these balances, and that once these balances are, I call them scooped, then you have to live within your current allocation. And probably over a period of time, those balances may accumulate again. We don't know. And at that time, the board could do the same thing again. You can only scoop the previous year's ending balance. So these are the June 30th, 2024 balances. They can be used for different purposes. We're electing to have the purpose published as any general fund expenditure.
So we're going to move that out of that, move it into the general.
Yes.
Yes, okay, that's what I was
And then what we will do is then before June 30th, have to go in and recode expenses
Yeah.
to offset and match, because they will have different code numbers that we'll have to show a transfer out of these 3 categoricals into, let's say, general fund. And then the general fund will show some type of expenditures. That could be salaries, it could be natural gas, it could be whatever, of that 452,000. It's a one-time deal for this amount as of right now.
I think it's good flexibility that we have, and I think it speaks well of Kevin and whoever else oversees some of these budgets, that sometimes public entities get hammered for being fiscally irresponsible. This is a pretty good example that if they didn't see a need to spend, they didn't spend it. So I think it.
Well, on the TLC part, remember, you started out with, what, 5, 6 people?
Yes.
TLC?
Yeah,
And you're
we
down to
We have 3
3?
instructional coaches now.
Right.
So
I think that's just another
So that's
example.
where a majority of
Right.
that has accumulated, was just over the, and that wasn't all in 1 year, that was a matter of a
Right.
couple of years where we reduced the staff in the TLC program.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it.
And simultaneously, though, we also increased the number of other teacher leadership positions across the district,
Yeah.
such as, instructional behavior strategist, or in fact, even this year alone, we added for Perkins, an RPP and work-based learning, a instructional lead teacher position to help with that program. So it's kind of, eliminating the instructional coaching positions, but at the same time still providing support in other ways that wouldn't be as expensive.
Right. And some of those were state mandated, at least some of the programming, so it kind of supports that program.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yeah. It's been a fight.
I bet. Well, we appreciate you doing that. I make a motion to set May 12th, 2025 as a public hearing date.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Approve lawn care services that no longer occupying.
I make a motion to approve lawn care services of no law left behind.
Motion and a second, any other discussion?
I think this was discussed heavily at the last board meeting.
And I did look back and there is, it's a milk price increase, it was the same price as the 24, 25.
Good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Approve letter of agreement between Ms. Courtney Beatty and Perry Community School District.
From time to time, we have done this kind of an agreement, and this is a level 3 with strategist 2, ID, MD endorsements for 5 years. As I put in there, this is a high demand area to teach and extremely difficult to fill. So, in your board packet, you will see the different classes that we will pay for so that we have this person for 5 years. Okay?
I will reiterate, this is a very highly in need position and not many individuals getting that strat to endorsement.
This is a position we've had unfilled for the last 2 years. We've had someone with a sub-authorization do that position, and she's done a nice job, but it is our most needy kids, our very high need population of kids, and they don't have a fully certified teacher. I think Mrs. Beatty will do an excellent job. She's been an excellent special ed teacher. I think she'll do outstanding for these kids.
And she wants to do this.
Yeah.
So that's the other part.
Did we have an idea on what tuition would cost?
I did a rough estimate of just number of credit hours and what the, it's Northwestern University out of Mason City, maybe?
Orange.
But it
Orange City.
roughly 13 to 15,000 when I just did a rough estimate of the number of credit hours times what their webpage says per credit. So it is a cost, but again, it's a position that our number of level 3 special ed kids that we have at Perry Elementary increases drastically every year. We have a lot of significant needs.
I make a motion to approve the letter of agreement between Ms. Beatty and the Perry School District.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Those opposed?
Approve revisions of board policy 600 to 602.
Director Diaz.
All right, code number 600, gender identity is removed to be consistent with the passage of Senate File 4118. So, just to clarify, that's not really up to our discretion.
Correct.
Okay. Also, updated cross-references and the date. No changes to code number 601.1. All right, code number 601.2, remote learning removed. This flexibility ended with the end of the governor's emergency proclamation during the pandemic. Updated cross-references and date. Code number 602.1, the language changes are intended to strengthen the district's compliance with Iowa Code 279.74 and all applicable laws. It says, the board delegates the curriculum development process to the Director of Teaching and Learning, who will make curriculum development recommendations and submit them to the board for final approval. A few minor changes, struck out, verify integration of local, state, and federal mandates, and then it added ensured proposed curriculum complies with the applicable laws. Is that why you retired, Kevin? That's a tough job. All right, next one, align, this is second page, sorry. Align annual goals with needs assessment information. Updated is the date. Code number 602.2, the language changes are intended to strengthen the district's compliance with Iowa Code 279.74 and all applicable laws. It added to ensure the curriculum framework complies with applicable laws. Provide professional development to staff to support effective curriculum implementation. Updated the date. All right, code 602.3. The language changes are intended to strengthen the district's compliance with Iowa Code 279.74 and all applicable laws. Added, ensure curriculum complies with applicable laws. Struck out, the bulleted items are suggestions for content of this policy. The italicized items are not mandatory functions but are implemented from the mandates. So essentially says there's a little less flexibility. Updated the date. Code number 602.4, no changes. That's it.
I'll make a motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Personnel.
Okay, at your spot, you will see the most updated personnel list.
Do we know if any of these who are under resignations, will they be up for rehire, or would they be some that we would not be filling?
Some of the paras, basketball coach will be replaced. There's a couple others that I won't speak specifically, but I can just tell you that we're looking at each of these, whether we can continue to offer service without. So that's going to take a little bit more discussion.
On the enrollment loss of 109 students, has there been an analysis of ELL or SPED demographics of those? Anybody know?
An analysis, I know that as far as special needs, I would say if anything, we are at or touch above. I know elementary-wise, I don't think it's decreased.
But I would say based on the number of kids that move in our current special ed rosters, we've not lost a ton of special ed kids. So, I mean, our percentage.
For the EL part, I'll be working with Kevin as we look at our EL numbers. We finished the ALPA 21 test, and as I looked at the number of tests, it seemed like there was still a high number, but I can't tell you the exact number, but we're going to be working on that exact same thing. Kevin, would you agree? I mean, as far as the number of kids that you put down as tested, it didn't seem like it was significantly decrease from previous years,
No, it's comparable to previous years, but remember last year we did not do the health
or
test.
2 years, yeah.
So the number's actually a little bit higher if you go back and compare like 2 or 3 years ago. So we're hoping to see a significant number pass the alpha test and thus exit services. And I'll let you know as soon as we get the word that the alpha results are available. It should be hopefully early May.
We may have a number of bus drivers that are looking at retiring and then coming back because of the IBER's change. We have several bus drivers that would qualify to take IBERs and come back and not make $40,000. So they're taking advantage of that. So we may have several of those that may come and ask for they'll resign their position effective at the June 3rd or the last day of school. They would have to wait out a number of months, but hopefully then when the job is reposted, they could apply and be rehired in August. So just so you're aware of that, when the dollar amount was lower for IBERs, it was tougher. But with the IBERs limit now, the 40,000, there's not a bus driver that makes $40,000. So depending on their own circumstances, they may be, it may benefit them to do that.
You don't have to wait 6 months.
Generally, we say, because of Obamacare, that they wait and hold out for 6 months. But we have waived that for a bus driver, only because we know that they're probably on Medicare and not subject to finding health care. Because they're not under the age of 65. So the district would only run into a penalty if that person maybe was under the age of 65 and had access to health care here and went to the exchange and got health care, then the district would be penalized. And normally that is 6 months. But for a number of bus drivers, we have waived it. We waived it also though for Captain McLaughlin when he left. But because we needed a bus driver at that time to fill in. And as long as these individuals would indicate to us in writing that they would not access the exchange due to their age and being on Medicare. So, but I know we have one that is already looking to come back in August once that position is reposted. But we may have 1 or 2 more. So just so you know that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
We will now go to closed session for the annual evaluation of the superintendent. And it is closed at the Iowa Power Staff. 41:25.
I don't have any comments, but I would just remind us if we could put board comments on the
Oh,
agenda.
board comments, yeah, we didn't do that.
Okay, that's fine. I spoke enough anyway.
Good luck, Mark.
Well, it's a weekend. After adjournment is.
Thanks, Jim.
So we need a motion.
I'll second.
Travis and Eddie. And we'll do it by roll call vote. Linda Andor,
Yes.
Max Christensen,
Mrs. Steele?
Eddie Diaz.
Yes.
John
That thing
Steiner.
and-
Yes.
Joe T.
No, I finished your
I wish the sound would have worked, but I could hear it.
I can send it to you so you can see. Yep. But I just, yeah, I don't know why the sound didn't work, but.
Well, I learned that. I learned that you don't have a, I never, so,
We're gonna ask you to leave?
yes, I'm going to pick up my stuff here.
You want to come in tomorrow, just let me know.
1 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I will see you then.
all right, sounds good.
Have a good night.
Yep, you too.
Thanks.
Hey, everybody got the communication? Yeah. If there's anything that you see on there that you don't like, then let me know, because I haven't given it to the admin or anything. I want to give it out to the rest of the teachers and everybody.
It's a good thing, because some people don't always know who I talk to.
Yeah. And if there is something for board that, if it's situated, hey, there's second thing. If you go to the teacher, okay. Linda, we still have a mic here?
Yeah, we still do. It's gonna come good.
John?
Steve, you came listening. I've seen that before.
Oh, yeah, I'm not even paying attention. I got so many things going on, I don't even, I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you.
What are you doing retirement, Mary?
Me?
Yeah.
Travel? I sell my car.
Yeah.